Elev8. Today we got Modified Creations. Oh man, this guy is super cool. I got to interview him a while back when we were first starting this Elev8. It's way better now, so I'm really excited to sit down and do this much better. I can't wait to get into that. Really quickly, I want to put it out there. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to this channel. Also, we're looking for brand ambassadors, Elev8 Dolls and Elev8Gents.com. Check it out. You can also go to Elev8GlassGallery.com to check it out. We also got Elev8 Veterans. Go check that out. If you want to support us in any ways, both of those ways are really neat ways to support us. Anyways, let's go hang out with Modified Creations. All right. Today we got Gage Hamilton here, Modified Creations, and thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're just getting the workday going here. Got some orders, we're always grinding.
How late do you usually work till?
I usually go 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
All right, man. Those are nice long days.
6 days a week.
Hell yeah. How did you actually get started into this glass blowing, this adventure thing?
So I actually have a history of epilepsy. So I got into smoking and being able to use this as a medicine and slowly started to kind of collect glass pieces, and stuff would break. And I got sick of stuff breaking and not being able to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I sold off my glass collection at that point and invested in my very first little national setup. So that way I could just start making my own stuff.
Hell yeah. And how long ago was this? How long have you been blowing glass for? When was this?
I've been working glass for about 8 years now.
Okay.
On and off. I was on and off for the first couple of years. And then I actually got to meet Dog, and the just inspiration blew up from there. And I was like, I can do actual art pieces. It's not just crazy smokeware and stuff like that. I didn't realize the whole artistic side of it when I got into it.
Yeah, it's whatever path you want to take it. Just pipes, you can do that. Just flowers, you can do that. Combine them.
It's so amazing. And you see all the stuff that we get to make now is just, it's really awesome how creative that we can get with it.
And I haven't gotten lucky enough to actually work with you in person, but I did get lucky enough to do a small collab. I sent you a little bit of stuff. I got the piece back. Super fire. It's really neat when you send something off, you wonder if your prep was good enough. And
yeah. Oh yeah. With the mail collabs, it's always a little harder because it's good to feed off each other's energy when you're actually making a piece.
I think that's where it's at with collabs. It's not about just making the piece. It's more about, what can I get from you? What kind of knowledge can I get from you? And what kind can I give back?
Yeah, it's all about that positive experience. You always want a good reinforcement behind it. And so you get a lot of collabs that you just don't get. It's you get a little bit of clashing in between it, or button heads during oh, we should do this. No, we should try it this way. No, let's just do it. Let's fucking just go with it. But
so you're doing collabs almost every single day working with Dog, right?
Yes, everything for the past, I'd say almost a year and a half, if not 2 years now, close, has been pretty much all collabs.
That's pretty neat.
At least since January 2020, everything has been pretty much collabs coming out of here.
And you guys are starting that. You're also, so you got you two, and then you're forming this new thing called Role Model Glass.
Yes.
Right.
So we haven't really done too much solo work. We still have our own thing, but for the works that we've offered, but now everything's just, we took our two styles and combined it, and it makes it a lot easier for both people to be making money. So he can be working on prep, I could be working on shaping, or he could be working on shaping and I could be working on prep. There's just always
so
something out of here.
You guys mix that up too. It's not just one leader and one follower. It's
yes.
Throwing it and you two juggling together.
Yes, we have certain styles that I shape, and then there's certain styles that Bob shapes. It's the stuff that he brought to the table and I got the little stuff that I brought to the table, and then we get to have fun with the shaping and attachments and really play with the way each other can work on the torch.
Yeah, I think
It's very similar, but we have completely different styles.
that's what I find really neat is when I first met you, you had mentioned Bob a little bit, and then we just got to interview Bob, and he's mentioning you and role model. But the whole thing, I know you were really pretty passionate to mention Bob and vice versa. And it's just, I fucking love the relationship and the team building and how you got it. I haven't seen anything out there like it. I'm not saying there isn't in this community, but you guys got something special here, and it's really cool.
You don't find that very often.
No.
It was about 7 years ago is when I met Bob, and I was living out in Cali for about a year or so, and was looking for some glass supplies, and all of a sudden this old man referred me to go see Bob and see if he had anything that I could buy off of him. And all I'm doing is all I had is a National. So all I'm trying to do is make little pipes out of somebody's garage. And I go to his place and he's working on this, I don't know, 18-inch, fully worked, just honeycomb sections and wig wags. And I'm just like, wait, you can do that? Like, what's all that? Like, what's going on here? Like, and we just hit it off from there. It was like a year or two later, I got to go to his place again. And after just doing like this, we did this virtual online stuff for, I don't know, 2 years. And all of a sudden, I actually got to go work with him again. But the virtual thing was just having online shopping, but you don't have somebody bumping into you. So we used the virtual chats, and we'd have like 10 different people in there all at one time.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. I didn't expect any of this to come out of it. I just expected to be a little pipe maker in my shed.
It's crazy. Like, you can always, there's a thing, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, but you can't really always make the plan because you don't know what the future has.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's been such a crazy journey these past, like, I don't know, 4 years that I've gotten to travel the country, moved across the country. I've done so many events with Bob, and it's been pretty awesome.
Hell yeah. So what kind of items did you first start making when you started blowing glass?
The very first stuff I was making was the little domes and adapters for the male-to-male pieces.
Yeah.
That was like our early 20s, like 2012, 2013. When everybody was still putting male joints on everything.
It never should have happened, I think.
No, it never should have happened. But I started making that, and I was doing a lot of pendants. I was doing jellyfish pendants, mushrooms, little flowers. I started doing dot stacks early on. Those were a lot of fun. Those were the first thing that kind of got me noticed by shops, was doing dot stack pendants. There's a couple shops in New York bought those.
Yeah, I always recommend to people, first starting out, to try to do that dock stack or marbles, because when you refine it and get it, it's really easy to say, hey man, I make this. And like, people would love to put those things on there because they're time consuming, but they just elevate your stuff. So
and then I started figuring that out, putting it on pipes, and it was a pretty cool little starter.
Hell
but
yeah.
I was probably like 2 years in before I even tried anything with water percolation or anything like that.
All right. So when you first started, did you have a mentor? It sounds like Bob really became your mentor around that.
For my first, let's say, year, I was just winging it from YouTube videos and all that good stuff. And then it was after I lived in Cali, so I was probably almost 2 years since I had touched the torch, and I met Bob and was like, oh, okay. And after that, he became a huge mentor with it. And then getting to meet some of these people through him has really changed my idea of what's capable of, well, what I'm capable of now. So.
Hell yeah. Have you had any classes? And if so, do you recommend classes to other people?
I have never actually taken a class, but I do recommend them. I plan to at some point. Um, but I always felt like the basics, I should be able to try to figure that out on my own. And the fundamentals of the glass, like there's so many videos now, um, especially in the last few years, there's so many learning opportunities and online classes. Uh, yeah, I definitely recommend it. I'm looking into some of the more advanced milli classes, and next it will be the lathe work. I'm trying to get more into that.
Yeah, I think the classes help find like those super neat techniques maybe that an artist doesn't want to show you even in their videos or something. You can only get them by either paying for a class or getting enough skills built up to immerse yourself and work with that blower.
Yeah, exactly. All these different techniques, whether multi-layering and there's specific techniques on the lathe where like there's work or you can only make on the lathe. There's work that can really only do by hand, but everybody's got their own little niche and what they're doing, and it's just being able to watch them work. Yeah, that would definitely be an upper hand to be able to advance somebody else's skills.
Right, right. So if somebody can't afford a class, I think it's try to just go out there and become somebody's apprentice or work with somebody, and
Oh yes.
you'll gain.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you did.
Yeah, you watch everything you can on YouTube. You find every video available online, and you watch that. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I've spent watching the John Kabuki flower marbles on YouTube. Those, yeah, I've probably spent 3-4 days just playing that on the big screen in the shop, and I'm like watching it. And I'm like, all right, try it this way, and yeah, it's definitely a huge advancement now with YouTube.
Yeah, a mentor that could almost be like the group of artists. The new mentor is YouTube.
Yep,
It's
it really is.
The world's just getting a little pinhead, I guess.
Yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration and creativity from?
So a lot of mine, I am a huge glass collector. I have a huge Millie collection, marble collection. It's a case that sits right out here in the shop, and every day, I'd say at least 2 or 3 times a day, I spend 5-10 minutes just staring at everything that I have, and just that's capable of all these Millie artists and marble makers and stuff. That's one of my biggest inspirations. Piper Dan, I have he's probably a huge part of my collection. Steve Bamey, they're probably my biggest cases out of the whole display that I have. But I probably have, I don't know, 20 or 30 different artists that I have in my display case.
Wow. Yeah, man. So of a lot of blowers, I gotta say you're slightly different than some of them because you got a really nice collection of other blowers. Sometimes blowers only have their stuff, their broken stuff.
That's all I
cool.
use for functional, but I have like probably 2 or 3 functional pieces. I have one that wasn't a collab. I've got a couple Grim collabs that I kept, and a Kai Beck collab.
Wow.
A few other things that I've got. What's it? Henry, I'm trying to remember his name. Does the ray guns. I'm spacing on his last name right now.
I'm sorry, I can't help you out there, man. I'm a little
Wisco Kid.
Okay.
I got one that I did with him that I kept. But other than that, I like the Millie and the marble aspect of it way more than the functional art. Like I like making the sorcerers; those are pretty fun.
Do you make millies yourself then?
I do simple stuff. I haven't gotten too crazy into the more advanced image builds. I do more like the proto stuff, clusters and stuff that I can use on my work. Trying to do different patterns or using the UV colors with black and white, honeycomb millies. Bees and butterflies are the most advanced millies that I've tried so far.
Okay. And even those can't be easy, man. There's bodies, there's heads, there's.
Yeah, they're the first multi-component stuff that I've tried, and it's definitely a lot of heat. I just upgraded my torch earlier this year. I was running a Delta Elite for the last like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I just upgraded to a Delta Mag.
So that's a nice
heat.
little more heat, a little more protection you probably need. And
oh yeah, I got little sleeves that suited up my face because some of those builds get pretty big.
yeah.
I was doing all my 75 mil pulls by hand for a while, and now we have a homie in here with a lathe, so that's made it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's no joke doing a 75 mil by hand. Like the heat's intense. Do you have a blast shield or any kind of like coat?
No. I have an apron that I wear, like a welder's apron.
Yep.
Then Kevlar sleeves, and sometimes I'll put a bandana on, but usually I don't.
Hell
The
yeah.
beard's usually enough.
I love glass and what we put ourselves through, just this heat, man. I'm gonna cook myself today.
Oh yeah, the radiation burns that you get all up and down your arms. My face, like it's pretty red. Like if I take my glasses and hat off, it just looks like I've been sitting on the beach all day.
Yeah. Do you have a preferred style or technique that you really love?
I love patterns. So anything to do like the Zen Virgo, line work, those are probably my two favorite. And reticellos. I love layering. Anything that's more visually aesthetically pleasing versus just a solid color.
Yeah.
I just love pattern, like the honeycombs, any sort of pattern that can be done. That's what I like to incorporate into our work.
Fresh. Yeah. And so that, patterns take, it's not just art. I feel it's also, that's where the craft really starts to come into it.
Because a lot of people can make pretty patterns and stuff, but is it going to be even? Is it going to blow out? Is the density is going to be good? Or, there's so many little aspects that could make it fail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And with the trippy tech stuff. So,
yeah, I kind of gave that to the past. There's so much time in it. It's just like 3 hours to make a pound. It's cool, but is it worth it? Like, I don't know.
That's how I feel with the Zen Virgo. I probably have 20 slugs ready to pull down into cane. But it's just so much work. I still have to stack all that up and then melt that into tubing, and it's so much work.
But it's fun, right? And
I love it.
Hell yeah.
That's what I do.
Have you had any periods in your career where you shifted focus from, say, you were just doing just pipes and then you went to pendants or vice versa? And then did you like that?
Yes, I've done little shifts of where I didn't do any functional work for a couple months just because I was it got old making the same old stuff over and over and over. And I was like, all right, I need to break. Like the shops can try to push these other things. Like that would be awesome. And it would be slow at first, and sometimes it would take off. And then other aspects, I'd hold on to a lot of work for a while, but I'd always have something that was selling. So out of like 5 products I'm making, at least one of them is going to make me some money, hopefully.
Right. And that's it too. I think as an artist, finding different things that the market wants, and then the market's always changing. So you got to be able as an artist or to move on a dime almost.
Yeah. And I moved up here about 2 years ago. So I spent most of my beginning of glass blowing down in Mobile, Alabama. So that was definitely a big change of difference for the glass scene.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of the legality issues. I was having to go to Florida most of the time to do all these glass events. And it was a lot of risk down there, but It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know how the world, damn plant, illegal here, legal here, go to jail over here, just slap on the wrist here or nothing there. Just
Yep.
wild. Um, what is your favorite color to work with?
Oh, right now, I mean, Galaxy's got to be one of the favorite. That one's a winner all around. I've been asking for I've actually been talking to Abe about a smoky gray sparkle. I used to mix my own from sienna brown and blue stardust.
Okay.
If you drill mix that, it turns into like it looks like smoky gray china, but sparkles.
Everything with sparkles is a win.
Exactly. I've wanted like a ruby sparkle or red Elvis sparkle or something like that, or red Elvis stardust, whatever they want to call it. I've really been trying to make those. I used to do a lot of drill mixing when I was first starting, trying to figure out how to make some of these colors.
Okay, so you've played around mixing your colors. Have you just mixed
Oh
colors,
yes.
or have you added some minerals to it just to kind of see what will happen?
I've never used raw minerals. I've only used existing colors, tried to create little recipes, and I did the Ryan McClure recipe for a long time to mix my own skin tones.
Okay.
It's especially for like the sorcerers and all the faces and stuff. I really liked the skin tone look for it, but nobody was making an actual skin tone.
It's
So
crazy, right?
McClure came up with a recipe that if you drill mix these three colors at these ratios, you had like a perfect skin tone, and it was mind blowing. And he shared that with a bunch of people. Dapo's had the recipe and altered it a few times and created like a handful of different skin tone colors. And now Lampwork Supply has those recipes and offers all of them by big pots.
Oh,
So,
wow. So they're mixing it up there and then
yep.
reselling it out.
Yep. So in the last like 5 years from the recipes being created, now they're actually on a production.
Man, that's pretty cool. Um, what is your least favorite color to work with?
It's got to be like bibbity bobbity blue or like periwinkle, like those lighter tones of pastels, kind of.
They're checky.
It's usually they're a little more boily issues. I don't really have issues with cadmium colors at all, but it seems like those lighter blues just don't like to be gathered up or coil potted raw.
Yeah, yeah. Um, what's the most difficult piece you've ever attempted in your career so far?
Um, well, this for this January for our New Year's piece, always try to bring it into the new year with something crazy. We did I think it was like 12 or 14-inch sorcerer, and it had a 5-inch head on it, and the whole body was, I mean, 7 or 8 inches, and then there was 12-inch horns all around the piece,
Wow.
and that thing was heavy. And I mean, it was every bit of like my whole top area, and I'm sitting there like holding it, trying to. Yeah, it took both of us to finish that piece.
Wow. Congratulations. It sounds like it came out.
Oh yeah, we actually just sold it, I think, a month ago.
Fresh, man.
Pretty
And that's
awesome.
it. If you don't build it, you can never sell it. So you kind of got to
Exactly.
go out there and make things once in a while, push your skill set. And
Yep.
sometimes it's harder to sell those big things, but if you don't make them, you'll never
Yeah,
sell.
and that's what a lot of it was I don't really make big things, and then I met Bob, and then I was like, oh okay, we got to make big things. Like, you're a lot bigger than me. We can make a lot bigger stuff. So,
Yeah. What do you consider to be the most challenging piece that you make right now?
um, I'd say either the Fab Eggs or the Sorcerers would be, just because of all the welds and risky sculpting edges and stuff on them.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the ones that we put a little more risk on them, but
You get
yeah.
more reward out of them when they're
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
won.
they're definitely some of the more pricey pieces, but it reflects, I mean, how much skill they really take to make.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do you collaborate often outside of, I'd say, working in the role model scenario?
Before I moved here, I did, but since we've been doing the real model thing, we haven't really had too many opportunities since the whole COVID thing to get out and meet a bunch of, or have other artists in. And with the orders now, we just haven't had time to link up with anybody, and which that's made it a lot harder. But we want to in the future. Definitely want to line up some stuff for these events and different expos that we can go to, and actually just be like, all right, you go that way, I'm gonna go this way. We'll loop around, and eventually, like, I'm sure we'll be both working on the same stuff no matter what.
Hell yeah, that's cool. What's the most amount of time that you've ever spent on a particular piece?
Probably 28 hours.
That's a lot of time in a piece.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't
Even
successful?
then, that's not. Yes,
Fresh.
that was the New Year's piece.
Okay.
So we started all the prep the day before, and then so between all the honeycomb sections, the dichro tubing, so cause we make all our own dichro tube, all our own backstacks, all layers and stuff. We tried to do that all up here, and so between pulling all that prep, doing the prep, and getting to the final piece, it was about 28 hours total for the one piece.
Wow. And so that seems like, with you doing the pull of those, even millies, sounds like you're really interested in becoming a real well-rounded blower rather than just focusing on one thing.
Yeah, I couldn't sit and do one thing for the whole time. I'd have, even each day, like with the orders we have, I fit in other stuff when I can. But I'll sneak in a little late night millie, or a little late night sleeving of some layers, or I always try to fit something else in. I can't. I don't like being just stagnant, I guess. I get burnt out real quick.
Do you feel maybe you have ADD?
Oh, very, yeah. I was on medication as a kid, but nah,
Me too.
I don't deal with that now. I have my medication now.
Yeah, yeah. I think they just do that shit because it was a new drug they found, that Ritalin crap, and was like, hey, let's throw it on these people that can't even pick it out,
Yeah, pretty much. Big glasses become my this is my meditation. This is my release of everything.
Yeah, I find that too. And I think a lot of people, if they're having these things where there's just so much going on, that if you knew about glass, you can get into that and the whole world can turn off because there's so much.
Yep.
And you don't know how to do anything, and you can find something else you don't know how to do. And it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I love it about that, because I have really bad anxiety, and especially social anxiety. I hate being in public, but if you put me in a glass show, like, I'm Mr. Social. Like, I want to talk to all these artists and stuff, but
it's your little world.
Exactly. But you put me out in public anywhere else, and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm just gonna sit over here and you guys can all talk. Like, I don't know anything. I don't want to talk about whatever you are. I want to talk glass.
Right.
So.
Have you competed in any events? I know you say you go out to some events.
Well, I've only ever tried to compete in one event, and that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was Champs down in Orlando. They were doing an emerging artists competition.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard the words emerging artist, I'm figuring like it's going to be a bunch of no names and it's going to be people like me coming in. And that was not at all what happened. I was one of two nobodies, but everybody else in that competition was a very well established artist. And yeah, after I seen that type of atmosphere, I was like, damn, that's not very fair. Like, this is like odds are stacked way against me. I'm not going to name names, but there was some bigger names there.
Right. Yeah. I feel sometimes those shows are kind of, for a certain niche group of people that have built this up, and they find a good thing for them. And I think that's it works for them.
Oh yeah. And I love all the artists that are in these competitions. So, and the way they work, like it works for those people, but that's definitely not my thing. So I didn't place, even though like I thought I should have at least got third.
But did the networking was probably amazing. Working next to those artists was probably skill building.
So before that was my first event by myself. I had did Chalice in Las Vegas with Bob before that, but Bob was a little far away for Orlando, so I ended up doing Champs and by myself. It was a great networking experience, but I think Las Vegas is definitely like the best of networking.
I agree. For artists, the focus is only on the glass. Champs is cool, but it's like the whole cannabis culture.
Yeah, it's the whole shop aspect versus just the glass. And I want more glass.
Yeah, that's what you're here for, is glass.
Yep.
So I do assume that you do consume yourself in cannabis?
Yes, I do. Flower, concentrates, edibles,
Full spectrum.
Yeah, anything that helps keep my anxiety down. Or I don't really have like seizures a whole lot anymore, but it still does happen, and I try to stay medicated so that way they don't happen.
Okay. So you have found that helps out quite a bit compared to maybe just using some over-the-counter drug for that.
Yeah, I was on medications for it all growing up, and a lot of it really messed up my teeth, like just with all the pills I was having to take. And I just was about a teenager, and I just stopped taking all the medications. And all of a sudden, the seizures kind of stopped after I stopped taking the medications that they wanted me to take.
Wow.
Yeah, everything started to get better. For like 10 years, I had no seizures. Or 10 or 15 years, I had pretty much no seizures. And I had a heat stroke one day and hit my head. And they came back a little bit. But since then, as long as I stay medicated and smoked, like I'm good. Probably every 3-4 months, when my stress or anxiety levels just kind of build up a little too much, I'll have one, but it usually isn't very bad.
And it sounds like that's self-induced because you're creating the stress in your life, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. It's just all work, being overwhelmed with work.
Man, I'd like to throw that out there then. If anybody does have epilepsy, maybe give cannabis a try. Not saying it's going to work for everybody, but I think it's something people should try. You're not going to die from it potentially.
There's so many ways to be able to consume it that you don't necessarily have to smoke. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to get high at all. Like you can just have tinctures and stuff that just help mellow you out and relax your mood. You don't feel high from it. It's crazy how many different ways you can put this into your body nowadays.
Right. Hell yeah. So what can we look forward to in the future from you?
Well, we've got lathes. We're working on a couple more lathes for the shop. So there's going to be a lot more, uh, more production, more sculptures inside of pieces. Um, we're really trying to work on a handful of new lines, but we just got to get the lathes here. We've had a lot of issues with. We had ordered 2 lathes from India, but the shipment was supposed to be here within like 2.5 months, and that was in January. It's been like little to no communication about it, so we're trying to get our money back, but we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, yeah. I've never used an Indian lathe, but I operate on a couple of Chinese lathes, and
Yep.
it's, you know, as much as I love American stuff, the quality is there. I can't compete with it. I can't afford it, and
Yeah, and that's where we were at. We picked up 2 lathes. It was going to be $3,600 a piece for 85 millimeter lathes, but yeah, just didn't work out.
well, hopefully that does work out. I'm sure maybe just a little more prodding. It could be that this damn COVID thing down there as well. I mean, everybody's
Everything's locked down over there, so we can't get anything done.
It's crazy how interwoven the entire world is, you know. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just one race, one human race running along this fucking rock.
Yeah, they've been dealing with it hard over there.
Yeah. Do you still find you have the same passion and love today for glass as when you first started?
I'd say probably more, just because I've found so many more possibilities, and even like as the years go on, being in this industry, there's more being possible. It's just, especially with these milli makers, these images, especially like Steve Bain, the way he's doing these intricate, crazy images of portraits of animals and sea life scenes, and then being able to layer those into the tubing, it just creates so much more possibilities. And you have, well, I see you got the Starry Night behind you. You have Grimm, who's been making that big Starry Night scene with the starship.
I've been watching it.
And just, I mean, especially Marcel pushing the limits with the hot shop style work. Just you see more and more possibilities. And it's just, I mean, who knows where this is going to be next year, let alone in 5-10 years. And
I think that's what's really,
we could all be a part of that. So,
and I think that, yeah, that is what's so neat, is that we are a part of this. We're building it. They're building it. And it's just this, while glass has been around for 3,000 years or maybe longer, it hasn't been to this point, I don't feel, where it's just exploding at an artistic level. You know, and I know it's just around cannabis. So as cannabis becomes, it just seems like this whole beautiful thing that we got into has so much potential to just, it feels like it's just starting the explosion.
Oh, definitely. Especially with, you know, you got these glass shows coming out. And I think, was it Jerome Baker and their company, they're working on a glass show that's more based towards pipe makers.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, it's just, the world's going to be introduced to more of the artistic side of the glass scene, and not just being like, oh, look at all these bones and pipes and stuff. And they're going to be like, oh, wow, like that's a creature. Oh, wait, you can smoke out of that.
And I think that's what really is so cool, is it's not just art, but when you can take art and form it into a functional piece, it's two crazy worlds that I don't know if it fully exists in a lot of other mediums. Like a painter can't make something that functions. Like maybe they can.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, I was gonna say there's all these people that are working with stone and wood, clay, because there's a few crazy artists that are working with clay that are making rigs.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the different mediums being brought into it, into the smoking culture. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. Do you have any shout outs, or did we miss anything that you want to add?
I wouldn't know right offhand. As far as shout outs, I mean, just like everybody in my collection that keeps me inspired to do all this. You know, you got like Steve Bamey, Piper Dan, Micro, Kenaroo, Steve H. He's been killing those implosion millies. Trying to think of who right offhand I can think of in my collection. There's too many. Glasshopper.
I love it.
I have so much. I'll send you some pictures at some point.
Yeah,
Show
yeah.
Really how crazy it is.
Yeah, we'll try to get some pictures after this and throw them up here because that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got probably half of a 6 foot by 6 foot display case full.
That's beautiful, man. And where can we get the best place to follow you to see your work and all that stuff?
The best place is at Modified Creations Glass on Instagram and at Role Model Glass on Instagram. Role Model is going to be pretty much, my modified page is pretty much sharing everything from the Role Model page. So there's going to be, you can find all the work on your page.
All right, and then so Role Model will probably be the full of what you're building right now with Dog and your other shop mates.
Yeah, even in my description of Modified Creations, it says right at the top a link to the Role Model page. Just because that's definitely what we want to push.
Hell yeah! Well, this was a pure pleasure for me to have you on here, Gage. I appreciate it, man. This was cool, and keep up the great work, brother.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you. This has been awesome.
Peace out.
Later.
Yeah, like I thought it would be. That was super awesome hanging out with Gage. The whole crew over there, Doghouse Glass, what they're working on, Role Model, super awesome. I'm loving it. I can't wait till the three-way we get with Role Model and them as well. I really love the energy that Gage puts into all this work. His work is just phenomenal. So make sure you go check him out, follow him, support him, do all that good stuff. I want to put it out there as well. If you like what we're doing, tell your friends, please. And an easy way to do that is join our Elev8 brand ambassadors. It's really cool. We got Elev8 dolls and Elev8 gents. Sign up for it. You can earn some credits. You can get some gear like this. You can get some surfers. You can get all kinds of cool stuff. But the big thing that you're doing is you're really helping me to build this Elev8 idea here, elevating mind, body, spirit. We also got Elev8 Veterans. It's a really cool thing where we help rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans into society with different ways of consumption as well as glass blowing. Just really allows to set your mind free a little bit. Anyways, thanks a lot for joining us on this really special Elevated 8. Elevate, mind, body, spirit.